I just want to say right off the bat that this isn't the kind of story where you get to meet the main character, you get to like him real nice, and then he dies in the end. 'Cause I hate stories like that. I don't want to make you cry. I just want to tell you about my little brother Mick. But I thought you should know right off the bat, he's not here anymore. I thought that would be fair to you. See, it was a bicycle accident, and it was as accidental as you could get too. Like, Mick wasn't riding crazy or anything or swerving in and out of traffic, and both of his hands were on the handlebars. Just his tire hit a rock, and then he slid into the back of a passing truck. And that was that. I have this weird kind of memory, I think. Like, not once have I ever been able to remember my parents' anniversary in time in order to get them a card. But I can remember the exact conversation I had with Santa Claus when I was in kindergarten. The thing is, that happened 8 years ago. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. I'm not surprised that when I could remember everything that happened the day of the accident. According to the Mayo Clinic, children are often referred to as forgotten or invisible grievers. We may not always see children's grief displayed outwardly. Internally, children may feel and react to emotions that are difficult to express. They may not have the words or the understanding of what they are feeling. And that is exactly what 14-year-old Phoebe Hart is feeling as she grieves the unexpected loss of her little brother Mick. She sees her parents turn into people she doesn't even recognize, as she's dealing with her own grief and feeling emotions such as confusion, anger, denial, to acceptance. In Mick Hart Was Here by Barbara Park. It started out like most any other school day. My dad was running around wearing his usual morning outfit, shirt, tie, boxers, and black socks. And my mom had already left for work wearing her usual pair of jeans. Me and Mick were completely different than our parents. Our parents hated family conflict like worse than any other parent I had ever met. Me and Mick could barely get fights started before we were hauled off to our rooms and told to think about how we could resolve our differences in a more respectful manner. That's why when Mick walked into the kitchen that morning and saw me digging around in the cereal box, he couldn't wait to get something started. That's when, all of a sudden, he ripped the box from my hands. "Come on, Mick, give it back. That tattoo's mine." As soon as I said the word tattoo, his eyes lit up, and then he reached into the box and grabbed it out. No problem at all. It's not fair. Mick always got to the cereal toys before me. And then he would go and hide them off in his room. I knew he did it every time, because I know for sure there's at least 2 spyware glasses and 5 Super Bowls hidden somewhere in his room. "Please, Mick, can I have the tattoo?" He said, "Say please." "Please, now can I have it back?" Before I could even finish, he was already shaking his head and then started to tease me in his stupid pirate accent saying, "Shiver me timbers, and there she blows," totally cracking himself up. That's when I shoved him into the refrigerator and called him a name I had never called anyone in my life. A real nasty one. Like one you would hear on HBO or the school playground. Before I could get a chance to say I'm sorry, he shoved me back and then said, "Gee, you're real cool, Phoebe." Then he walked away. That was our last morning together. Like, ever. We were running sprints at soccer practice when I hear a siren. It kind of bothered me that I was hypnotized by the sound of it, I don't want to be one of those people who gawks at accident scenes, but I am, I think. Because as soon as the red flashing light comes on over the fence, I can't take my eyes off of it. It seemed to be getting closer and closer to the school, but instead of speeding away, it seemed to be slowing down. It turned to the front of the school. I didn't like it turning there. By now, it needs to be off to someone else's neighborhood, a neighborhood that I don't know anyone in. Then, all of a sudden, the doors of the ambulance come flying open and my dad comes rushing out towards me and I just close my eyes. And I didn't want it to be Mick. I remember feeling my dad's arms wrapped around me. He cradled my head in his hands, so gentle-like. His voice was so faint when he whispered, "Baby honey, it's Mick." And for the second time that day, I'm surprised with what comes out of my mouth. I know. Thinking back, I'm not exactly sure what happened after that. It's sort of like a film that like speeds up and is just a blur. All I remember is people walking me into the nurse's office, sitting me down, hearing Mick's name, the name of the hospital, how fast the ambulance got there. All I remember thinking though is that none of this was really happening. I hadn't even cried yet. It wasn't that kind of pain yet at all. It was just this huge void of emptiness. Later that night, I curled up in my bed and my stomach was in a million knots. I hated this. All of this. Me, my life, my new family of 3. My mom, like the last couple of days, I barely recognized my parents. My mom's turned into some zombie, and my dad is a slob in some slipper socks. Damn you, Mick. Damn you for doing this to us. Getting dressed for Mick's memorial was awful. I mean, when there's ever a time when you shouldn't be caring about what you look like, your little brother's funeral pretty much takes the cake. But I remembered how important this was to my mom and how she wanted me to speak on behalf of her family at the funeral. My mom wanted me to read her favorite Mother's Day card from Mick. They had gotten into a big argument the week before Mother's Day on something Mick really wanted. And the Friday before Mother's Day, it just so happened that they were making Mother's Day cards in art class. Mick had told his art teacher he wasn't in the right mood to make a card for his mom, and his teacher told him, well, get in the mood or get an F. I held up the card so everyone could see it. He wrote, "Roses are red, violets are blue. I still don't know why I can't have a tattoo. Love your son, Mick Hart." I went back to school the Tuesday after the memorial, and that's when I found out how famous I really am, because Miss Berryhill had called me into her office, and if she had known what kind of mood I was in, she probably would have not said this at all to me. After she told me 2 years ago she lost her mother, and then losing a family member is one of the worst kinds of losses you can have. But he's not my loss. Mick is not my loss. He's dead. So please don't ever say he's lost. He's dead and in the ground, okay? I didn't give her a chance to talk. Just ran out of her office and onto the soccer field. Some of mine and Mick's best memories were made on this field. Now, it's just where remember the accident.